Hello there, and thanks for tuning in. So today, Fiona and I are talking about particularly loss and moreover, the recovery from loss. So Fiona is running a business called Your Colour and Style, and my business is Quality Mind, and I'm a coach. And the synergy between our businesses, we realised, is really, really strong. So today, what we're going to talk about is the emotional connection that clothes have, both outwardly and inwardly. Then we're going to look at when is the right time to start re-looking at how you look and how you feel about how you look. And then we're going to talk about when are you ready for change. So, Fiona, what would you say is the best time for someone to identify, or how does someone identify that emotional connection they have with clothing?
Well, sometimes, Cliff, I don't think they actually do until they're perhaps talking to someone like me. It might be through a wardrobe review. And when I'm asking them a question, like you obviously ask questions. And so my question might be, how did you come by it? And then they might say, oh, well, it was a gift from my ex-husband, or it was handed down through the family. There's quite a lot of that people acquire clothes through. And then obviously I know the connection between people's emotions and their clothes. So I'm usually quite careful about trying to ascertain what they think about that garment because of the emotions behind it. So, even if I think it's not perhaps the best thing for them, I need to tease out what they actually think about it and why first before I suggest what might be the best thing to do with it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I likewise can help them to identify that when they're experiencing a loss, whatever that loss might be, those emotional feelings are really, really strong. So they need to get some emotional support in order to be able to move forward. And each one of those garments in your world, or feelings and emotions in their head that I'm talking about, are really, really strongly linked together. And there's such a powerful combination of getting the thought process right, but actually feeling comfortable and confident in the outward, in your outward appearance as well, isn't it?
So, I mean, when you're talking about a loss, maybe loss of a job, depending on how the job disappeared, you might have feelings towards the ex-employer. And, if there was a uniform involved that was a particular colour, then you may or may not wish to wear that colour, for example, in the future. Or, as we've talked before anyway, about appearing for a new interview, and it might be that, you had a preferred item or outfit that you wore that you enjoyed wearing to the previous job, but you might want to actually not bring that into a new situation, interview situation, if you're generally coming up against no's all the time. So you get the interview, but you're always number 2 or maybe number 3. You never quite clinch the job, and you might be thinking then suddenly, well, is that something to do with my unlucky suit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Rather than my lucky socks or whatever it might be.
Well, absolutely. And it might be that you do actually have a negative attachment style to a particular garment. So I can work with people about what their attachment style is, and you can work with them on the physical dress or jacket or suit or whatever it might be.
Yes. Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. So let's just look for a second at the how. So how would you go through that process, Fiona, of working with a client to achieve that sort of moving forward after a loss?
Well, this is why I particularly like to work with my clients one-to-one in their home, where they're most comfortable, in their own surroundings. It helps me get to know them, and what I'm trying to do is align the outer appearance with the inner person and their circumstances, so whatever their job might be or their hobbies, so that they actually have the wardrobe that suits their lifestyle. And So in working one-to-one with them, you know, I can go as quickly or as slowly as they need. And that's why, you know, my HR background does come in handy in terms of assessing people and what they need without maybe necessarily making assumptions. Obviously, I do need to ask certain questions and in certain ways. But yes, that's how I like to help somebody move forward at their own pace, really. So I can be a bit sterner if they need that, but I can equally be very gentle if they need that too. So, you know, I'm trying to make people make a change, because if they don't want to make a change, then why do they need to call me in? So they do actually need to make some changes, however small that might be, or the small steps that might be to get the end result. So yes, I work a bit similar to you, I'd imagine, Cliff, in terms of working at their pace, and picking the tools out of your tool bag that are appropriate for that person.
Yes, it's absolutely essential that, you know, both of us work at the client's pace rather than our own pace. And from a coaching point of view, I call myself the no-nonsense coach because I am very direct. And what you're saying is that you've got the ability to be strong with the people that are going to respond well to strong and being guided. But also you can go at a nice gentle pace with someone who is maybe a little bit more reticent, so on and so forth. And I think it's just having the ability to identify which model will work for that person. And I adopt exactly the same thing. So, you know, I go at the client's speed. We've got a job to do, and they've made the choice to be there. But at the same time, it is about, you know, making sure both parties get the best outcome. So on that point, which leads nicely into people being ready for change. So how does that bit come about in your world?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why, you know, where I am very enthusiastic about everybody looking their best and being able to just dive into the wardrobe and pick out something to wear that day that they know will be just right for them and just right for the situation. I understand that, you know, a lot of people obviously think that they can dress themselves, and of course they can, but I'm trying to get them the best outcome. And not everybody knows, you know, they don't know what they don't know, really, in terms of how much better could perhaps look. So you know, I do have a money back guarantee that if my input wasn't of use to them, then obviously we could have a discussion about that. But and so far nobody's asked for that, so hopefully I'm doing something right. But yes, it is definitely, like you say, you know where the client wants to be as their end result, and that might be a point that's not the end anyway. But it's a case of finding out exactly what the client wants and needs and delivering that. It's not necessarily, as you say, being in the frame forever to be able to take money off them at will just because you want to string the process out. It's not about that at all. It's the important thing is the client, really. It's client centered.
Excellent. And I think when people are ready for change, then it's amazing what we collectively and individually can actually achieve. So by sitting down with them initially and actually agreeing and finding out exactly what they want to achieve, you can work with them very closely on a one-to-one to achieve whatever they want to in their outward appearance. And I can work with them one-to-one on what they're thinking about and what's going on in their head. So I think, it's a very powerful combination, and I know you'd be delighted to hear from anybody that feels that they're ready to make that change. And your number is 07469 246 722, is it not?
That's right, Cliff. And if anyone wants to get in touch with you to start the process of altering their thoughts about their situation before maybe coming to me and getting my input, then to get in touch with you, your number is 07711 342 599.
Thank you, Fiona.
Thanks, Cliff. Always a pleasure talking
And
to you.
you, cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.